I'm just going to run you very quickly through some of the features. So this is the box scene, just to show you that. If you notice there's the sort of sound thing, and that's attached to this. If you look in the menu here, there's the audio source with my clip attached to it, and play on awake and loop, and you can set all these different settings like volume, priority, as in like over other sounds, like if there was any other in the scene. And like the 2D to 3D is quite an important one. I've kept this at 2D, so it's not like environmental and it's close to the player like a soundtrack would be. The game sets its own kind of like reverb, so it's like how much of that you want to affect your track. But there's nothing special about it, to be honest, and that's not relevant because I haven't got that set at 3D sound. So that's kind of like just if I was to move that slider between 2D and 3D, then that would impact that with things like Doppler effect and different types of roll-offs. Blah blah blah. It's not that exciting. Anyway, this doesn't have any like extra sound other than with the lights here. Sorry, I'm not clicking the lamp. Fucking. There. Here you've got the audio source, which is attached to this part of the lamp, which is just like the lamp click. That's 2D as well because it doesn't really need to be 3D because it's a very simple sound. There's no point like processing it any extra. Like I could, but to be honest, the player's not going to move while that click is playing because it's like so quick. Like you're not going to notice like moving your head and not moving with you. Really, I don't think it matters at this point. Like if you were being really pedantic, then you could. And this is, just open that. This is Monodevelop. It's basically just a coding thing. This is JavaScript. This is the one I want. So just to like really quickly go for it, like that's just telling you that the trigger is an audio clip, and that's telling you that it's not playing it, as in like it's not going to just keep playing it when you start. That's saying when it gets a mouse click, if we're playing audio, so it's going to say that changes to true. It'll take my audio clip, and also that's just a debug thing which tells me that it played. So that's not really anything to be looked at too much because it doesn't affect the audio. It's just telling me like if it wasn't working. So that's quite simple, and obviously that corresponds with that, which links the lights together. Anyway, yeah, that's that. Back to Unity. So that's all that is. That's just attached to the object. Like you can add any component through there. It's quite simple, and that's my other script with the light. And then you just attach, like in the script it tells it to add a box here, and then you just add your sound. And I've got all my audio files and my assets here, so I can drag and drop anything into there and then into the project as and when I want to, and it's exactly the same for the other lamp. I'll take you to main scene. Right. See, this is the weird thing about the lights. There. See, that's what it should look like. If that is any use now, probably not. It doesn't really matter, does it? Let's look at the waterfall for a second. Shh. Ooh. This has, if you take note in this little corner here, these are the various audio clips. I've got 2 here, and they're both playing on awake and looping, and they have similar priorities, but one slightly higher than the other. Not that much exciting there, but the difference is that they use the 3D side of the spatial blend, So that means that this graph I've changed, and it should be quite similar between them. No, this is the one that I've mainly changed. This one's kind of like a smoother version of this, basically. The max distance is like how far you can be from the sound with it still playing, so it will cut off after you're 500 away from it, basically. But that's probably bigger than my scene is. I don't know. I've never noticed it affecting it, so it's fine. Yeah, these are custom. It's basically a custom roll-off, because I tried logarithmic and linear and neither of them sounded right. One of them just played it like all the time, like really loudly, and the other one like had to literally be inside the waterfall for it to make much sound. So they've had like the opposites, basically. So I drew this kind of graph for this, how far the spread is. Like the reverb zone stays the same, and this is kind of like where the volume increases depending on how close you are to it, and this is where it goes straight up, like when you're in very, very close vicinity to it. And I'm not saying it's like amazingly accurate to what a real waterfall does, but I've tried to make it as what I would imagine it to be anyway. Quickly, I'm fapping. This is my ice pond, and that has these pond vocals, I've called it, but it's just my noise, basically. We'll just stop that for a minute, it's a bit annoying. So you can see this is attached to the object, and this is the inspector window, I should say, that shows whatever object you're kind of like interacting with and what's on it and what you can do with it. And I've not used audio mixer groups for this because it's just too much to learn. Yes, plan away, yes, loop, and that's 3D. But what I did with the roll off is I put the spread to 0, so it's not, well, I don't know, that's fairly self-explanatory, I would have thought. Like it doesn't occupy the 3D speaker space as such. And I put the Doppler level like ridiculously high. So basically what you're hearing is my vocals automated by like an exaggerated Doppler effect, but because it's out of the range, like it's above the ranges of what you would normally use. And also the Doppler is usually the object source is moving rather than the player. Like it's unusual for it to impact if it's not moving, like a car going past is like a Doppler effect, whereas like if you're stood still on an ice pond and then you walk across it, like that's not something that would happen in real life. So it's kind of like taking a game application and using it in a different kind of way. But that's the long and short of it, really. There's the main camera, has our lots of scripts, but it's got our wind here, and I've not made that 3D because you don't really want it to be, because you want it to be close to the player. Like if it became 3D it would start being a bit strange when you moved, I would imagine. That doesn't really apply anyway because it's not ticked, as in like it's not mixed between that. It loops and there is an obvious loop point in it, which is not great, but it's alright, it works. And the bed is the last one. You can see the little speaker sign there telling you that there's an audio source added to it, and that's just my piano sound, and that is full 3D. So this is like how it only plays when you're really close to it. So like once you get past like 100, I think, away from it, it's not going to hear it at all, which is not very far. And like even though you've got your max distance set at 500, if you look at the graph, you've got no volume past 150 max, really. Yeah, and obviously like because it's an audio source and your main camera has an audio listener, that means that it will react to it. If you didn't have that, you wouldn't pick up any sound. I don't know. That's about it. I would have thought. There's other sound sources in it, And it's the same with the caves, really. If I just load it on a zoomed out level. Oh, don't want all of that. This is our waterfall here. You can see that it's like unnecessarily huge, and this is like our cave structure from here. But like you can see here, just like where you come up to the waterfall, there's one of my vocal audio sources, and with this arch it's the same. That's got an audio source, and this little bit, this little table here is the same, and this arch has as well. I don't know if you can see it or not from there, but you can see it when you click it. You can see here. And with that, obviously, the main player where you start, that has the loopable sort of basis of the track, and then as you walk towards like the other elements of it, they should be in time, because everything is takes plan away. So it's only Unity's lag that would mean that it wouldn't. So other than that, like, it definitely would be in time. It just depends on how fast your computer is. Cool. Hopefully that is a little bit of an insight into how things have worked.